Welcome to episode number 9 of the Career Breakthrough series. I'm your host, Paul Ames. If you guys are checking us out on iTunes, don't forget to subscribe or to write us a review, as this allows us to share our message further and wider and to get more incredible guests like Brett on our show. Or if you're checking us out on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the new videos coming out. Today on our show, we've got an amazing guest, Brett Campbell. Brett is the founder of Fit International, the Authority Academy, and the Unleash Your Greatness movement. He is also a speaker and the author of now 2 incredible books. The second book, which is just launched, is called Right Now, Why Not You, and Why Not Now. In today's episode, Brett shares an amazing amount of knowledge and actionable tips and advice to help break your career and life through to a whole new level. Guys, let's get started and listen to the interview. Guys, today we've got an incredible guest. We've got Brett Campbell. Brett is the founder of Fit International, the Authority Academy. Brett has an incredible book coming out called Right Now, Why Not You, and Why Not Now. Brett, welcome to the show. I know you've done an incredible amount of podcasts just recently. I'm so excited to have you on the show and help you share your incredible knowledge with my audience. So, Brett, if you could just give the audience a bit of a background on who you are, what your upbringing was like, and also what your career was like before you got into business.
Cool, mate. That's probably a 3-day conversation right there. But let me give you the quick snapshot. Firstly, thank you for having me on your show. Thank you for the listener, the viewer who's tuning into this right now. You know, I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know how valuable time is, hence the purpose around this entire book, which is called Right Now, Why Not You and Why Not Now? And I'll talk about that, you know, the purpose behind that. But, you know, today I want to give you guys as much value as I possibly can. So I'll give you the real quick snapshot of my story. Perfect. You know, the bullet point version, and you can then, if you feel like you want to go down a certain path, mate, I'm led by you.
Sounds good.
So 5 years old, starts way back then. 5 years old, I remember I was playing outside. I was living in Australia, born in Australia here, and we lived in a caravan park. And I was playing outside our caravan, and it was a nice sunny day. I heard a yell come from inside the caravan. I was like, oh no, what is it? And there's my name. I was like, Brett. I was like, what is that? And I run into the caravan and I put my head through the window and I see my father standing there. He just got back from the pub and he had my mum in his hands and he was about to throw her through the window. And my mother said to me, she goes, run across the road right now and go get some help. And I was startled, so I did. I ran across the road, got some help, and that was the last memory I had of that entire circumstance. And it was actually the last time I ever seen my father. My mother and my sister and I jumped on an airplane, moved to New Zealand to start a new life. And I knew at that stage, at that age of 5, that I said to myself, and I declared to myself, I said, I will do everything I possibly can in my life to make sure that my mother and my sister are always taken care of. So it's been a driving force for me, you know, for many, many years, ever since I can remember. I've always known deep inside of myself that I had something great to share with the world. Didn't know what it was, didn't know how to put a finger on it. It was this feeling, right? And I know people have that feeling, and I know the person watching this right now, you have that feeling too. I know you have that feeling right now as well, Paul, that Definitely. There's this thing inside of you that you're destined for something greater, but a lot of people just don't know what it was. And I didn't know what it was either. I was just, what I say, I was chasing opportunities, not building them. Yep. Very distinct difference there. So, look, I kicked out of high school for talking too much, which is ironic. If only my teachers could see me now.
Yeah, exactly.
And fell into a job that I knew from day one was not that thing that I was meant to be doing on this planet. I fell into an apprenticeship cabinet maker job. So I became an apprenticeship. I became an apprentice. You know, I worked for 5 years, too long in that job. Like I said, day one I knew. Got to a point where, you know, the pain was that bad internally that I just knew I had to get out and do something. So I jumped on an airplane, moved back to Australia to start a brand new life. 8 years ago, I started, you know, being a personal trainer. Wow. And became a fitness trainer. Started to trade time for money again. This time was just better trading time for money. Instead of, you know, $20 a cabinet maker, you know, I could charge $80, $100, up to $200 an hour as a personal trainer. I thought that was great. But just because the cash was coming in, I still felt this feeling of incomplete, like I wasn't doing what I felt like I should be doing.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't know what that was. And so many people can relate to that because they're turning up to their job, doing the same thing every single day. Exactly. So, you know, it's that can't wait for Friday thing. for me, I can't wait for Monday so I can get stuck back into this thing, right? And that's the difference now. But that it obviously always wasn't like that. I became a fitness trainer, ended up dating one of she wasn't really a client. She came to one session, and I always joke around. I say my wife. She's my wife now. She paid me for my services. She paid for 2 fitness training sessions, and that was it. I ended up having to train her for free, and we got together, and she ended up leaving her job that she was in, and we started a brand here in Australia called Fit Chicks, and it blew up. We're to date. I stand here. We've helped close to 500,000 people around the world. We've done so many different things, but what happened was, whilst that was looking great, everything on the outside was, people going, wow, you're helping so many people. This is amazing, fantastic stuff. I still had that feeling within inside of me that I still felt like there was something missing. And it was about 18 months, close to 2 years ago now, something tragic happened in my life, and it just sparked the light that I needed to now move on to this new path, and where I can stand here with my feet firmly fastened to the ground and say what I'm doing right now is what I'm meant to be doing for the rest of my life. So
perfect. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, Brett. That's absolutely incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself, mate. That's an amazing roller coaster journey you've gone through, and goes to show anyone who's listening that no matter where you've come from or what background it is, things are never as bad as they seem, and you can create amazing success in your life once you uncover what you really want and what drives and motivates you. So thanks a lot for that, Brett.
Yeah. No, thanks, mate. I appreciate it. And you know what? I can say that I am proud of myself, and that's all ego aside. And I think this is a very important distinction that we could all make, being able to say that, I'm proud of what I've done here.
Exactly.
And because that just means you're becoming more congruent with who you truly are as a person. You know what you stand for. You know how you want to be perceived, and you go out there and execute on that every single day. So, mate, I appreciate you being aware of that. And look, it has been a journey, and I obviously want to be able to share whatever I can with anyone listening right now, on how they too. Because again, look, I'm far from perfect, man. I've got my own issues. I've got, we've all got baggage, right? I've just thrown a few extra bags off the carousel that turns around in the head, then goes, right? And that's what we need to realize. Actually, would you mind if I want to share something with you right now? I'm just going to. It's a story I heard the other day, and it correlates right into what you just said. And I've literally shared this with thousands of people now in the last few days.
Awesome.
And I think it's extremely powerful that anyone can resonate with, okay? So there's this Chinese man, and he owned a horse. One morning, the Chinese man woke up to see his horse had disappeared without trace. He didn't know where it was. The town folk came to the man's house and said, "Oh, no, that's so unlucky." To which the Chinese man replied, "Maybe." The next day, the Chinese man woke to find his horse was back in the paddock, along with 7 other wild horses that it must have brought back with it. The town folk came to the man's house and said, "Oh, wow, that's so lucky." To which the Chinese man replied, "Maybe." The next morning, the Chinese man looked out his window to see his young son riding one of the wild horses. A few moments later, the son had fallen off the back of the horse and broke his leg. The townfolk came to the man's house and said, "Oh no, that's so unlucky." To which the Chinese man replied, "Maybe." The next day, the army recruiters rode into town to enlist all the young men to prepare them for war. They noticed that the Chinese man's son had a broken leg and he wasn't fit for service. The townfolk came to the man's house and said, "Oh wow, that's so lucky." To which the Chinese man replied, "Maybe." Now, the moral of the story is, lucky or unlucky, how you perceive the situation or the circumstance is purely based on the lenses in which you're viewing it from. Now, was the son unlucky to break his leg? Maybe. Was the son also lucky to not be enlisted to go to war, to possibly never come back? Maybe. It all comes down to remembering that the glass is always half empty and it is always half full.
Exactly.
But how you decide to perceive it is entirely up to you.
Wow, that's incredible. That's an amazing story. Guys, go back and have a listen to that, because that was absolute gold. And it's all about your perception and life and your career. So yeah, definitely have a listen to that. What an amazing story. Thanks, Brett.
And I want to just shine a little bit more spotlight on that, because I think it's important that we, when we hear things like this, like for me, that resonates like crazy to me.
Definitely.
Right? It resonates like crazy, because the story that evolved and developed into this book called Right Now, Why Not You, Why Not Now, is a story about a dear friend of mine who ended up passing away, and some wicked circumstances happened. I'll give you the snapshot of it. Was when I moved to Australia, she got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I wasn't really around it. I wasn't surrounded by it. So it was sort of out of sight, out of mind. She ended up going through breast cancer, had surgery, chemotherapy, everything was great. A couple of years later, she had a headache, went to the doctors, ended up getting diagnosed with brain cancer. And this time it was going to be a lot harder to beat. And, so what happened was she ended up going through chemotherapy again, all of that. And got to a point where I got on the phone, I rang them up, I rang her and I rang her husband up, one of my best mates growing up as well, and just asked, how's she doing? When's she coming home? And he goes, well, she's coming home on Tuesday. I said, when can I come and see you guys? He goes, whenever, a few weeks, a couple of months, whenever you want, there's no hurry. And I said, cool, I'll come over in a few weeks. Hopped off the phone, went to book my plane ticket, went to press checkout, and this overwhelming feeling, which now I put down to intuition, came over me to not book the ticket. Hopped off, got back on the phone, said, mate, I'm coming over on Tuesday. He goes, okay, if you can, if you want to, that's fine. So that I did. I booked the ticket, flew over that Tuesday, arrived late. Wednesday morning, went around to their house, and he walked down the driveway. He just gave me a heads up that, she had a bit of a rough night last night. She didn't sleep too well. I was like, that's cool. And walked inside. She was positioned in the lounge because the hospital bed she was on was too big to fit through their hallway. So they lived in a very small timber home. And I sat down beside her, held her hand, ice cold. A few moments later, her eyes opened up, and I could see for that split second the pain had totally dissipated from her. And she whispered to me, and she goes, Brett, thank you so much for coming. 3 hours later, she passed away in front of us, and it was such I can't even put a feeling on it. It was just so surreal. I was like, wow, does this just happen? Like, is this just all unfolded? Like me not booking the ticket, me feeling that I needed to do this, and it all just unraveled almost like it was a planned circumstance. And I was sitting on the plane on the way home 7 days later, and I was sitting there and I just burst into tears. And it wasn't because I was sad because she'd passed, because I'd been mourning that the entire week. And I was obviously still was sad, just for those people out there who go, what, you're not sad about that? I was very sad. But what I was even more sad about was I was sitting there, I was like, what if this is me? What if this is me in 6 months? What if this was me in 12 months, 2 years, 5? What if I only had 5 years left? Is doing what I'm doing what I truly want to be doing on this planet? And the answer was no. Whilst I was serving hundreds of thousands of people, it was not that thing that I knew that I was supposed to be doing on this planet. And I owed it to myself and everyone else out there who is now being impacted by my message, my story, everything that I'm sharing, to help people start living to their full potential. And I asked myself the question, I said, well, what is it you really want to do? And I said, I want to, and I've known this since I was a kid, right? I want to be able to share a message with hundreds of thousands of people. I want to be in stadiums and sharing a message. I didn't know what the message was until that moment, that I realized I need to let people know that life is far too short. And I know people know that, but they don't really know that until you can connect with it. And then I started thinking, well, why me? Who's going to want to listen to me? But then I reversed that question after I got through all my baggage. I was like, why not me?
Exactly.
Why not me? Why can't I? And then when am I going to do it? I'll do it next month. I'll do it next year. Or I'll wait until we grow our franchise to 100 locations. All those things come in, right? The ifs, but I'll do this when. And then I was like, why not now? Why don't I just do it now? And that's where the concept of right now, why not you and why not now came from. So it's all about taking what we have right now, taking steps, moving towards to create momentum, to start turning those daydreams we all have into reality.
Wow. That's a powerful story too. And yeah, it's so true. Life is too short. I think in the blink of nice. So live the life you really want. So thanks for that, Brett. So just moving on, I know we touched on some of your previous careers. Obviously, you're saying you're a cabinet maker. But what would you say were some of the biggest learnings or biggest breakthroughs that you got in doing these careers, even though they weren't what you really loved? What were some of the biggest lessons you got out of them?
Yeah, I've learned many lessons, and I'm the guy that I will see something and I'll automatically be looking to try and uncover what the lesson is here.
Perfect.
So I'm definitely the glass is half full all the time, right? I'm looking just how do I keep putting more into how do I keep filling up that glass, right? That's just the hardwired nature that I've become. So I look at all of these things throughout my past, what I've done. You know, I was just on another show just before this talking about, you know, when I first became a personal trainer, you know, my first day on the job, I walked into the manager's office and I said to him, is there any new leads that we have? And he goes, no, there's no new leads for you. I said, okay, what about all the old leads? What about all the leads that people have called and didn't get a hold of, the ones who have been members for months and months already? What about them? He goes, they're hopeless leads. You won't get a hold of any of them. Just give them to me. Give me a pile of them. Bang, I smashed through them. Had my first client within the first hour. I literally started calling at 9 a.m. I had a guy booked in at 10 a.m. He became my first client and stayed with me for years. But there's this thing of what I've learned is that any single thing I do, I try and do the best I can. Like I put my heart into it. Wear my heart on my sleeve, and I try and do the best that I possibly can. But I also allow myself and give myself permission to start thinking outside of status quo and outside the box. When I was an apprentice cabinet maker, first day on the job, right? I was just turning 17. Actually, I would have been 16 still. Went into the factory. The boss was showing me around, and I said to him from day one, I said, "Who's the best? Who's the best in this factory? Because I want to know that person and I want to learn from that person." And he points to the corner, he goes, "Oh, it's the guy Baz." I said, "Okay, I'm going to go learn from Baz." He goes, "Oh, no, you won't. Because Baz doesn't like apprentices."
Wow.
Now, 99.9% of other apprentices that come through, they never went to Baz because the boss said don't. I was like, fuck that.
Exactly.
I want to find a way on how I can learn from Baz.
Yep.
You know, when you're an apprentice, you're a broomstick technician. You know, I was sweeping up floors and picking up sawdust and picking up pieces of scraps of timber. And all my job was to clean up after the tradesmen. Who do you think had the best, cleanest area in the entire factory?
You did.
No. Baz.
Oh, Baz did.
Yeah, because I'd clean it up.
Yeah. I thought because of you, he had the cleanest area. Yeah.
I'd sweep his floor that much that it almost became dangerous because I'd almost create a shine on the floor because I'd broomed it so much, right?
Nice.
That's how serious I was about being surrounded by that.
Yeah.
Long story short, I asked Baz every day, "Hey, have you got any drawers for me to make?" Because that was the first job an apprentice could ever do, was when you got onto the tools, which is generally several months into it. And he goes, "No, I don't have anything." And then I asked him again, "Hey, have you got any drawers for me, mate?" "No." "Next kitchen, have you got any drawers?" He goes, "No." And then I said, why don't you want me to do this? Like, what's up? He goes, "Because too many young guys have, come in here and fucked up all my work and I have to redo it and I don't want to do it." I said, "Okay, I get it." One day I heard my name being called out, "Brett." I'm like, Baz yelled out. So how high was the question? So I flew over to Baz and he said, he pointed to a trolley. He goes, "Here's a trolley full of drawers. Go and make them. Don't fuck it up." I said,
nice.
Went over, created my own work area, get my drill. I thought I was, king's nuts. I was just bang, 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 screwing drawers together. A couple hours later, I pushed the drawers over to Baz. I said, "Here you go. What do you reckon?" He picks up the drawer and he's like, looking to line it up. He goes, "Well, shit, boy. That's pretty good." And I said, "I know it's good." And he goes, when did you learn to do that? This is your first set of drawers." I said, "Mate, when I'm sweeping the floors and it's all clean, you know what most apprentices do? They'll just go and stand by someone and just watch or just walk around trying to look busy." I said, when that's happening, when I've got that time up my sleeve, I'm out in the bin with a battery drill and a cordless drill, like actually making drawers out of scrap pieces of timber that I'd thrown away.
Wow.
And I said to Baz, I said, "Man, I've been preparing for this moment. I've been preparing for game day."
Exactly.
I knew I was going to get one opportunity and I was not going to fuck it up. right? So, it got to a point, and then Baz goes, hey, do you think you can make that cabinet? I'm like, you bet I can make the cabinet. I push the trolley over. I'm starting to build the cabinet, and the boss comes walking out. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I shouldn't be on the tools. And I said, no. Baz told me I could do it. He's like, went down to Baz. He started having a talk with Baz, and, mate, I was the first apprentice in the workshop's history to be signed off a 4-year apprenticeship in only 3 years. Then given the opportunity to go and create a new arm to the business. They were grooming me to own it because they seen potential, definitely. Right? And the only reason they seen that, because I was doing something that no one else was doing.
Exactly. Wow, that's amazing, and that goes to show your work ethic and going above and beyond. I think too many people are just stuck in the same way of doing things. They don't really stretch themselves or think, this is what I love. Let's push it to the boundary and do what others don't. So.
And even if you're as an employer, if you're sitting there and you're employed by someone, don't just do the bare minimum. Don't just do what your boss or your manager or whatever actually tells you to go above and beyond. Go and wow the shit out of them.
Exactly.
Come back to them and say, hey, look, I know this is a bit out of my scope, but I've been learning about X, Y, Z. I've had a couple of ideas. What do you think about this? I'll tell you, as an employer, if someone come to me and said that, I'd go, holy shit, you are hired. I will make a position for you.
Exactly.
So you don't even have to be an entrepreneur in your own business to be fulfilled in a career or vocation. Because not everyone's wired as an entrepreneur to go out there and, hang their nuts on a line and just go, oh, I'm having a go here, right? I get it. But you can make yourself more valuable no matter what it is that you're doing.
Exactly. And I always say that to a lot of my clients as well. It's like, find out what your boss's biggest problem or the organization's biggest problem is and start stretching yourself, going, okay, go have a chat with them and say, listen, what's going on? I really want to, get a pay rise, a promotion, or move up in the organization and help take some of that weight off your shoulders. So figure out what their problem is and then start taking some of that load off them. And that'll position you a lot quicker and a lot higher.
And do it before you even let them know you want a pay rise, right? This is that whole thing of, don't go into the office going, hey, I want a pay rise. No. What do I have to do? Because
exactly. Give value.
For me, I was building a kitchen when I was on $7 an hour.
Wow.
And I'd built a fair few kitchens before I stampeded into that office one day. I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. An apprentice only got pay rises like every 6 months of like 50 cents, then $1, then $2, etc. It was a joke, the system, right? And because everyone else had gone through it, that's what they said was status quo. That's the norm. You have to do it. I walked into the office and I said, man, this person over here is getting paid $16 an hour to build a kitchen. I can build it one less day than them. So it generally takes about 5 days to build a kitchen. I could knock a kitchen out in 4 days and it would be better condition than what they did. I said, why am I getting $8? They're getting 16.
Yeah. Because
you're an apprentice and that's what it's all about. I said, okay, well, I don't like that. So I'm just letting you know that I want a pay rise. And they're like, and this is another thing, there wasn't much plan around it. They go, well, how much do you want? And I was like, I didn't really know, right? I was
$20.
Like, yeah. In my head, I was like, man, if I could get $10, I'd be happy. But I didn't say anything. And I said, look, here's the deal. I either get the pay rise or I leave.
Yeah.
I went all in, man. I put my chips in. Now, I probably wouldn't have left anyway because I had nothing else to do at the time. They said, look, we'll think about it, but chances you ain't going to get it. And these are, pretty hard dudes, the way they talked and, the whole, back in those days, the apprenticeship, they'd send you across the road to get a left-hand screwdriver, just, until you're a tradesman, you're really no one. And I went out there, started working again, and they come out and they said, oh, look, let's go for a chat. Pulled me around the corner and they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. $12 an hour. And we're also going to sign you off your apprenticeship and you're going to become actually a part owner in a new part of the factory that we're going to do. I was like, holy shit, I did not expect all of that.
Nice work.
That's what happened. And it only happened because firstly, I proved myself first, right? And I talk about this in the book right now. The book covers four phases, right? The 4 phases are discover, design, develop, and deliver. So the discovery is about discovering what it is that you truly want to be doing. Discovering that thing that you are put on this planet to actually go out there and execute. Right? The design is designing the life that you really want to be living. based around that. The develop is developing the skill sets and methodologies necessary for you to actually implement what it is you want to do. And then the deliver is actually how do you execute that out to the world. In the develop phase, there's 4 key areas. There's the physiology we must look at. There's the psychology, the personal knowledge, and productivity. Inside the personal knowledge, I talk about this concept called the apprenticeship method, the learning method that I went through to actually achieve that. And how does that correlate to someone right now? You know, it's called the give, learn, watch. Give to someone. Like, man, I gave blood, sweat, and tears to that broomstick around Baz's work area.
Sure did.
Right? And I watched like a hawk. Anytime I could see the best person working, I'd be like, hey, Baz, why are you doing that? Why do you do it like that? Why do you hold the chisel this way and not that way? Right? I was curious. Be curious. You know, and then take it up. Learn. I was in the garbage bin. I was literally in the scrap bin screwing pieces of timber together, hide from the boss because they would have been angry I was wasting screws.
Wow. Yeah, that goes to show it all. That's incredible, guys. Have a good listen to that. That's great advice there. So I just wanted to gain an understanding. What do you think would be the best career advice that you reckon you've ever received in your life, Brett?
One that stands out for me the most, and I think I really I need to sit with this and really open up the toolbox of advice I've been given, but because it's so in the forefront, it's, you know, it was when I was a personal trainer, you know, I was fully booked with clients. In 1 week, I literally lost half my roster. Like, it was so surreal. Like, someone would ring up, hey, I have to cancel training forever. I'm like, what the? Oh, hey, I got to cancel. You know, I literally lost over half of my income on a Monday morning. I was like, what? I rang up my coach. I'm like, what are we going to do? What do we do? And he goes to me, what are you going to do about it? Which was solid advice. I hated it at the time. I'm like, what am I paying you for, right? You're supposed to help me here. But then it made me realize, like, well, what am I going to do? I'm the only person in control of my destiny. You know, no one's going to want to work harder than me. No one's going to want this thing more than me. So I must take personal responsibility for that.
Wow, that's great. It's true. Yeah, no one's going to do anything for you. Nobody's going to create success or create the career or life that you desire. Only you. So I love the old saying: if it's going to be, it's up to me. So yep, yeah, that's 100%. Great. So what's the biggest thing that you're excited about in your business at the moment?
Well, the book, 100% the book. Awesome. I mean, we've got a number of different things. We've got the Authority Academy, you know, which is a coaching community where I help other entrepreneurs, business owners, you know, actually achieve, you know, goals and similar to, you know, what we've achieved, how to generate more leads, more fans, more customers, you know, and teach what we're actually doing in our business. So basically how to help people become an authority so they can get their passion and skills and knowledge out there to the world, and you can make a living from it. And then, of course, the Unleash Your Greatness movement, which ties into the book, which is this message that life's too short and we must start taking action right now to start fulfilling and creating momentum towards the dreams that we have.
That's perfect.
That's what excites me. That's why I'm up to episode 28 of this podcast. I could do this stuff for free for the rest of my life. And that's a very important distinction that I hope people can resonate with is, you know, what's that thing that you'd do for free for the rest of your life if money wasn't an object?
Yeah, exactly. That's brilliant. And
if you're in a job right now and it sucks and you want to get out of it, start taking steps right now. Don't wait till next week, or don't wait for a month until it gets that bad that you become home and you come home and you've had a shitty day at work and you argue with your partner, and then all of a sudden you're broken up and you've got a divorce on your hands. You're like, life's way worse than what it could have been if I actually stopped right now and start taking the right steps moving forward. So.
Exactly, that's great. And I know my friend Victor, hey Benny, he went through your training and he raves about it. So if there's any business owners listening to this podcast, jump on board with Brett's Academy. It's absolutely incredible, and there's a massive amount of implementation in his workshops and absolute gold, as you can hear from the podcast here. So Brett, I just wanted to figure out, so I asked a bit of a random question to a lot of my audience. It's something I've learned from my own counselling background. So it's called the miracle question. So imagine if you went to sleep tonight, and when you're asleep, a miracle had occurred. You wake up and you could change anything in the world. You could impact anyone or anything. What would that be, and why would that be so important to you?
Yeah, good question. I would change the education system. And please don't ask me what I would do, because I'd be here for hours. I think, here's the reason. is I would look to start changing the education system purely because, my vision is to change the lives of millions of people to create a world of fulfillment for our future generations. Okay, so, if there's something I could change now that would help me right now more, that would not be in line with my vision of ensuring that the future generations are going to be impacted by this as well. We get so caught up in the now that we forget that we're living in a very, very, very small part of this entire world and timeline of what we've actually been given here. Imagine being able to have a powerful, look at the people that we talk about now, all the people in history who we talk about, they're having major impacts now. I mean, I personally want to not only impact people now, but I want to make sure that I've been able to play a part in helping future generations. I think by adjusting and looking at and creating and getting the world's best minds together and go, okay, let's get serious about how do we change this education system.
Definitely.
Right. And carrot, because you can't teach 30 kids in a classroom the same thing at the same time. I walked into my English class and it got to a point where the teacher would point to the hallway and go, Brett, you're in the hallway today. I'd walk out there and my desk is in the hallway. Classroom of one. I'm like, what? Like, I can look back at that now because I had enough internal drive that didn't matter what I'd do, I knew I'd make good of it.
Yeah.
The majority of people, that could harm that person. That could totally derail that person for the rest of their life.
Oh, for sure.
And I think at the early ages is where people are most susceptible. And we need to harness the young entrepreneurs with the ideas and the visions and help them and teach them. I think the biggest thing I'd teach at high school is, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-regulation, understanding what motivation actually is, and that motivation is not something that you just receive, it's something that you give. There needs to be classes around that. So maybe just starting by adding in a few classes and getting rid of some of the old shitty ones that really have no relevance.
Definitely. That's so true. And I was reading a study recently that just about all employers favor emotional intelligence or your soft skills over your hard skills nowadays. So yeah, emotional intelligence is definitely at the top of the list. So I completely agree with you on that one. But teaching definitely could do with a huge revamp, I think, the education system. So yeah, it's quite crucial. But so Brett, thanks so much for sharing that. That's a pretty big, impactful goal you've got there. So we're just getting ready to wrap up. Is there any parting advice you'd want to share with my audience, or anything you've been through that you think could really benefit my audience?
There's a ton, man. There's a ton. But I just want to leave you with a simple message that life's too short to not be living to your full potential, and you can do something about it right now. And if you'd allow me, I'd like to be able to help you along that journey. I want to be a part of this new conversation that we can have together. And I know that what I've created in this book, the messages, what's etched onto the paper, is more than just a book, right? It looks and feels like one, but this is a conversation starter. This is what I 100% guarantee. If you allow yourself to go through it, you will start to see massive impact in different areas of your life. Again, it's going to be unique to you because everyone's different. Yep. So that would be my parting advice, man. I'd love anyone's support sharing this message. If you think that someone, an organization, another show, right? I'm putting it out there, and I'm going to be spreading this message long and hard. And I'm not afraid to ask for help. And that, I think, is something that is a massively valuable tool that everyone should be able to have in their toolkit.
Exactly.
Being able to ask for help.
Yeah. I completely agree with that one. That's probably been the most beneficial one that's really helped me in my business, especially. And I've changed my whole mindset, is not being afraid to reach up and ask for that help and reach out to people who can help you and guide you along the path. So, Brett, guys, I'll put the link to the book in the show notes. But, Brett, I just wanted to welcome you to the Career Breakthrough Tribe. Thank you so much for being on my podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you've shared some incredible gold and incredible knowledge on here. So just to finish up, where can anyone get in touch with you if they wanted to potentially get into your academy or just to look at your website or be in touch with you?
So just go to brettcampbell.net, B-R-E-T-T, campbell.net. You can find that there. If you want to go check out the book, you can go brettcampbell.net/book. You can find out anything and everything that I do from that website. So, and also reach out to me on social media. Send me a message.
Perfect. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, mate. It's been incredible to talk to you, and good luck with the rest of your podcasts today. I'm sure you'll be smashing all of them.
Can't wait. Thanks brother.
A lot, Brett.
See you, mate.
Guys, if you've loved the incredible content that Brett shared with us in today's episode, be sure to jump on board with his amazing new book, Right Now, Why Not You, and Why Not Now. So head to the link below, which is brettcampbell.net/Paul. And if you jump on board within the next 5 days, Brett's also thrown in $347 worth of free bonuses. These are the Right Now Daily Planning Method, Lean Body Secrets, the Right Now Lifestyle Planner, Unstoppable Confidence Meditation, and also access to the VIP community. So guys, jump on board with this incredible special and get these bonuses that are going to create massive changes in your life. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I look forward to sharing another episode with you next week.